Morning, everyone. I think I'm live. Lee will jump in if I'm not. Morning to you all. It's very morning here. I'm in Washington, in the USA, on a trip. I flew in a couple of days ago. I fly home back to the UK tonight. So my name is Clifford Agius, and I'm going to give you a talk today about critical decision-making skills that we use as airline pilots when we're flying commercial jets around the world. I fly the 787 for a major UK airline. And so I'm in Washington at the moment. I fly home later today. Come back. Hopefully, the storm would have passed, and it'd be a nice, gentle arrival into London Heathrow on a very AM on Sunday morning. Should be getting back in. But a little bit of housekeeping first. If I can click on my slides. Just code of conduct. Yeah, just be mindful of others. Treat others as you expect to be treated yourself, and be respectful. Any questions or concerns, then reach out to any member of the team on the Discord. And if you have any questions as well for myself as we're going through this, just ask in Discord, and Lee will jump in and poke me with a question. If it's aviation related though, you want to ask some odd questions about planes and flying, if we could keep those to the end, that'd be great, unless it's within context of what we're talking about in the slides. That just means that we can keep the flow going as we're going through, try and get through this content as quick as we can. Also, it'd be great if you donate to the National Museum of Computing. The team across there are awesome. I'm a paid up member of National Museum of Computing, so I sponsor them every year as a member, and a fantastic team, and they do awesome work. And the best way you can help them, if anything, is actually go and visit them. It's an awesome place if you've not been before. Take the family, take the kids, and just have a great day out down there. And yeah, obviously, if you want to donate, then pop along and support them as well. Sponsors, just want to say thanks to sponsors. This wouldn't be possible without the sponsors. So they're an awesome group of companies, and yeah, pop into the Discord and the sponsor chat channel and say thanks yourself and chat to them. It's quite a few advertising jobs as well. So you're looking for that next move, that next rung up the ladder. They pop along there and chat to them in the sponsors Discord chat. And then obviously tweet about the fact that you're here and you're taking part in DDD, and you're enjoying your day, and yeah, it'd be great if you can share that with everyone else, because not everyone knows that DDD exists. So share the love and make it bigger and better every year. But as I say, we're here to talk about critical decision-making skills. So I'm a senior first officer. So you've probably heard about the fact that there's normally two pilots that sit in the front of an aircraft, a commercial jet. And I'm a senior first officer, so I sit on the right hand side of the aircraft, and the captain sits on the left. That we have exactly the same license, the same training, etc., etc. The difference is the fact that the captain's got more experience, they've been doing it a bit longer. I should make captain. If it wasn't for COVID, I probably would have been made captain already. But I should make captain in the next few years when the world starts to pick back up. Hopefully it doesn't close back down again with this new variant of whatever they're calling it. Yeah, if they've given it a proper name yet. A bit about me though, when I'm not flying planes around the world, I work as a freelance .NET developer, mainly in the Xamarin or Maui space, so the mobile space, and also in IoT. I used to be an engineer in the car industry for many years before I took up flying, and so I spent a lot of time playing with IoT and electronics. Love supporting others and teaching them things, which is why I'm here today to talk to you about taking some skills from aviation, how we can bring that into the software world and work better as a team. So this is my office. This is the flight deck of a 787. This is the Dash 8. This is one of the aircraft that I was lucky enough to deliver from Boeing Field in Seattle a few years ago. And yeah, the Dash 8 aircraft has a list price of $250 million. So it's not a cheap bit of kit. It's quite an expensive company car, and they let me go and play with it, when I go to work and fly around. Some bits about the 787, if you didn't know, we have a head-up display, as you can see up the top here. You can see there's a head-up display. It's this bit of glass flips down in front of our face so that we can see the primary flight display, which is this screen here, projecting in front of our face on a projector. This white box above our head here is a projector, and it projects down onto the glass, and it means that we can be always looking outside the flight deck window rather than having to look down into the flight deck. Imagine driving along the motorway at 160 miles an hour as you're trying to find the exit on a foggy day. and you know, you're going quite fast, and you want to keep your eyes out on stalks, be looking outside to make sure you get it right, and you lead the exit, you don't miss it and end up stuck in the traffic a few junctions down. So we use the head-up display, so always eyes out rather than eyes in. I'm often asked why there's a cutout in the seat. That's because if you've got short legs as a pilot, you need the seat to be further forward so you can reach the pedals here for the rudder. And obviously you don't want the seat to impinge when you need to pull back on the flight controls, because maybe you've gotten too close to that mountain and you need to do a pull-up go around to make sure you miss the mountain. So the cutout in the seat ensures that no matter where the seat is positioned, the flight controls can always be pulled fully back. It's also often why you see female pilots will wear trousers rather than a dress or a skirt, and that's because they don't want the clothing to impinge on any of the flying controls. So little things like that are decisions that are made before we even get anywhere near the aircraft. They're made by the manufacturer. They're made by you know, the standard operating procedures to, you know, advise female crew not to wear clothing that would impinge and the flying control. It's not a rule, it's just a suggestion, but it's something that you'll notice that when you're wandering around an airport, that we'll wear trousers, and it's for a very good reason. Some views out the office window. On the left hand side you can read the text below which explains it, but it's St Elmo's fire. So when you're close to a thunderstorm, maybe one of these storms that is across the UK at the moment, delivering all the snow, you'll notice on the weather radar on the navigation display, you can see here these blobs of green and amber and red. They are the weather radar returns that are showing the fact there's a storm. As you get too close to them, you get a plasma build up on the windows at the front of the aircraft. And then on older aircraft that are metal, certainly not on the 787 because it's more carbon fiber, you get these arcs come across the windows, and it's called St Elmo's fire. And it's normally a prelude to the fact you're about to be struck by lightning. So you see it, you think, oh, that looks pretty, and then you realise you're about to be struck by lightning. If you're worried about flying, if you've got a fear of flying, then trust me, I've been struck by lightning. Yeah, on numerous occasions. It's not dangerous. It just means paperwork, and the engineers, when we land, have to carry out some checks on the aircraft, find where the entrance and exits of the lightning bolt was, so they can go and repair the skin. It leaves a burn mark on the skin where the rivets are, and they go along and repair those and patch them up with a bit of paint and check there's no other damage. But the aircraft is designed to be struck by lightning, so it's nothing to worry about. There's normally a loud bang and a shudder, and that's about it, and then we carry on flying. It's not that we're reckless, it's just sometimes, you know, to get to destination when the airport's all surrounded by thunderstorms, you need to pick a way through, and you have to fly a little bit closer to the storm than what you'd really like to on a normal day, and yeah, you get struck. The picture on the right, find any 787 pilot anywhere in the world and they'll have a picture just like this on their phone. We all like to take pictures of sunrise over the HUD. You'll see on the right of all the slides is my Twitter handle, and if you follow me on Twitter, if you like aviation, you're a bit of an AV geek, you'll see that I always post pictures from every flight. I'll post a picture out the flight deck window. This was a few years back. We had been flying across the Atlantic, and the 78 flies quite quickly and was chasing these jets across the Atlantic, and we descended a little earlier than they did, which meant that we blocked the airspace below them. We caught them up, and then they couldn't descend because we were down there, and we got to land nice and early into Heathrow. It's not a race, but first the car park wins. You get to go home earlier. So yeah, so I'll be posting pictures probably of sunrise tonight as I fly back across the Atlantic to get home to my family. A few more interesting facts, just building up a picture of what a 787 is like, because I think it's an awesome aircraft. It's got massive electrical onboard loads, 1.4 megawatts, so it's 5 times more than conventional airliners. So yeah, quite a lot of electricity on board. Lockheed Martin, the Ryan spacecraft, which should be going to space soon, when they eventually get it to go up there. The cockpit is derived from the 787 flight deck. I've asked if I can have a go, not replied to me yet, don't know why. If you've been on a 787, you'll notice the windows are very big and also have an e-ink display in the middle, which means they can dim the windows, so the cabin crew can take control of the windows and dim them, so you don't have that one person that's decide they're not going to sleep and they leave their blind up. The cabin crew can dim all the windows and take control and put you all to sleep. Flies along at Mach 85% speed of sound, so about 650 miles an hour, depends on the altitude obviously. But yeah, quite quickly. So it's one of the fastest jets in the sky. Has turbulence sensing technology, or smooth ride technology. So at the nose of the aircraft, there's a angle of attack vane, which senses the angle of attack of the aircraft. So what angle the aircraft is pointing up or down, and that gets disturbed by the turbulence as it reaches the nose of the aircraft. And then what happens is the computers make decisions in milliseconds to then move the flight controls which are on the tail of the wing, which means they can ride out the turbulence a lot better than a conventional aircraft. So it's super quick. It's making decisions, in milliseconds. But that's what computers are good at. The computers make those decisions for us. So on the 787, when I put this talk together a few years back to give to the doctors and nurses, the NHS actually was where I first gave this talk. We started counting the number of computers on the 787. We got to 1,000 and got bored and stopped. But you can imagine there's a lot of computers all running their own little bit of code. So even like the window blinds that I mentioned a few minutes ago, they have a little microprocessor that runs there, running codes, making decisions. Do I dim the screen or do I make it bright again? We have the autopilots, 3 autopilots. The left, center and right autopilot on the 787. They have 2 computers inside each autopilot, and those need to make decisions, and then they have to confirm the fact that the same decision has been made by both before they carry out an action. So there's trillions of decisions being made every second by all of these thousands of computers, but it's us, the pilots, that sit at the front that make the ultimate decision on what we're going to do. And how we're going to save the day, and it's us that are given this extra training, and I'm hopefully going to impart some of that with you today. So if we imagine you go to work, you go into the office in the morning, you kiss your wife, your partner, your husband goodbye, and you ruffle the kids' hair as you walk out the door, and you skip off to work, knowing forward you're about to go to Tenerife with these pilots were doing, to go and sit on the beach and drink a nice cold beer and relax a couple of days in the sun, and then fly home to the family again. They woke up in the morning and expected to have a nice day out and head off to Tenerife, but this is what they were dealt that morning. Flappy Birds. It was Flappy Birds.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Thompson 253 Hotel, engine failure. We are continuing with northwesterly and then inbound towards Wallasey.
Thompson 263 Hotel, roger. All runways available for landing. Surface wind 070 degrees at 5 knots.
Yeah, so like I was saying, they got up in the morning and they skipped off to work and didn't expect that. But the birds decided to get in the way, and they took that bird down the engine, and you have an engine surge where the engine is backfiring, and they now had what the passengers probably thought was a major emergency. Oh no, we're all going to die. It's all, this is really bad. But for pilots, every 6 months we go into the simulator and we're tested and trained. I have my check in 2 weeks' time, so I'm back in, and I have my license, my career across the training department, and they carry out 2 days of checking and training and examining, and hopefully at the end of it they sign in the box and I can go back to flying passengers again. But we practice this so often that you can hear it, the tone, intonation in the voice of both the pilot and the air traffic controller, who also carry out this similar training, but from an air traffic control perspective. We practice so often that it's become second nature. We also have standard ways of communicating. So they said the aviate, navigate, communicate. So they carried on flying the plane. They didn't tell air traffic control, oh no, we've got an engine problem, straight away. They flew the plane. You noticed the gear started to go up. They were flying the plane. So they would have briefed this emergency before they even pushed back off stand and started engines. They would have talked through, if anything happens on departure, you're going to fly the plane, I'm going to do this. Once we're happy and we're climbing away, then we'll tell air traffic control what's going on and where we're going to where we're going to go. So they briefed. So you notice in their conversation, they said we're going to continue inbound towards Wallasey, which is a VOR, a navigation point just by Liverpool. So they had already decided before they took off, if anything happens, this is what we're going to do. So they've made decisions before they push back, and they may have been decisions that hopefully would never be needed, but they've already made those decisions. Who remembers these two instances? You got a miracle on the Hudson, top left there, from hitting multiple birds. They had 4 minutes to landing, and they made the decision to land on water because they wouldn't have made a runway. It's quite a built-up area around New York, so they didn't want to try and land somewhere where they're going to injure or harm anyone on the ground. So they picked the water, which could ultimately have ended up with the aircraft, tumbling down the Hudson and killing everyone on board. But the captain had to make a decision: was do I save people on the ground and hopefully everyone on board, or do I sort of try and put it into a park where I could end up killing everyone plus people on the ground? So those sorts of decisions are obviously quite critical. The incident, the BA 038 incident at Heathrow back in 2008, they had less than 30 seconds. Captain Pete Burkill was the captain of the day, and he had a few seconds to make a decision to remove the flap lever, and which gave the aircraft another 20-30 foot bump into the sky. Not a lot, but enough to clear the fence. Anyone that knows this part of London and London Heathrow will know that at the bottom here, where the instrument landing system antenna is, and this little car, it wasn't there when the accident happened. I'm often asked that. Obviously, they've gone out to test the fact that there's no damage to the antennas. But just before this, you got the A4, you got the Hatton Cross underground station, and you got a massive BP petrol garage. Now imagine if he hadn't moved that flap lever and they landed just short of the airfield and they hit the underground station, or even worse, the petrol garage. Imagine the carnage that would have happened. So again, they had milliseconds, or seconds to make a decision, and they use a way of going through that that I'm going to hopefully teach you today. So we have, we've all heard of it. We've all heard of the fight or flight response. We've all heard of the caveman-esque kind of response that we have. That when something goes bang, we jump and then we do something. So you may jump, you may run. And there's a fantastic book by Professor Steve Peters called The Mind Management, and he talks through this about how all inputs are acted on by the chimp, our inner chimp, which is the bit that keeps us safe. And then the human kind of wakes up, and it's all there was a bang, and okay, yeah, there's a car there that's juddering along the road, so it's probably the car backfiring, so it's okay, don't panic, all is well, let's carry on. Or it could be the fact that the chimp has reacted to the fact you've picked up the frying pan because you're cooking yourself some nice bacon sandwich in the morning and didn't realize that the handle had been across the other burner and gotten hot, so you've burnt yourself, you dropped the frying pan because that's your chimp response, just to let go because it's going to hurt. And the human comes in and says, "Oh, actually, if that hurt, I'm not going to pick up again because it's probably still hot. You know what? I'll go and get a cloth and pick up with that and clean up the mess." So you can see the human is slow, but it gets there eventually. But the chimp is the bit that kind of helps try and keep us alive. That's our fight or flight, caveman-esque. But we can train the chimp. So if you don't have a lot of thinking time, that's where the chimp gets involved. If you have a lot of thinking time, you've got a couple of hours to think through it, then that's the human. And in between is what we in aviation have is checklists. So we don't have a lot of thinking time, but it's something that's been thought out in a room full of engineers and pilots, etc. Have thought through and made a checklist that can help reduce the amount of thinking time you need. You just literally go through the checklist. So the chimp is naturalistic, the human is analytical because that's what we're good at, and in the middle is rule-based. We have a rule, so just like that Thompson flight aircraft, they had a rule that if they have an engine failure, who's going to fly the plane, what checklist is going to carry out, and who's going to touch which buttons and in which order. And so that is a checklist, and it's done from memory from an engine failure or an engine surge in that case. And then we get a paper checklist out to make sure that we've correctly identified the problem, we've correctly carried out the checklist. So some issues that I've had, I've been flying for 20 years now, and some of the things that have happened in my career, it's not an exhaustive list, but ones that I'm prepared to put on a slide that I'm giving a talk in the open too. Been struck by lightning, as I say, quite a few times. And do you think that would be a chimp response or a human response? Well, initially it's a chimp response because you're not expecting it. So initially it's the chimp gets involved, but we train to do what Professor Steve Peters calls is cage the chimp. So we feed it a banana, keep it happy. The way of doing that, if you're in a stressful situation, is just take a really big deep breath. If you've got the time, take 2 or 3 of them. You close your eyes if you can. Obviously we can't do that on the flight deck, but there's software engineers, when the server goes down on Black Friday and it's all going horribly wrong, just move your chair back from the computer, take a deep breath, close your eyes, reoxygenate your brain, give it time to calm down, and cage the chimp. It's like, now slide forward, open your eyes. Right, what are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem? Engine surge top climb. So just like the Thompson Fly there, they had the engine failure. We have an engine surge at top climb. I just put a forkful of sausage in my mouth. It's breakfast. We're flying off to Zurich. The engine surge. So there's a big bang, the aircraft starts swinging all over the sky. And initially it was like, oh, I wanted my breakfast, I'm hungry. So a bit of a kind of chimp-esque response. And then obviously the human gets involved and we carry out the drills. I'll not go through all of these, but you can see there's some pretty big decisions that had to be made. But we don't just use this model for big decisions, we use it for small decisions as well. Pretty much every flight we use this decision-making tool. Now we have it. It's called TDODAR. Just like software in aviation, we love our mnemonics. We love kind of shortening down. So TDODAR is what we use. Initially, when I joined the airline, it's just DODAR. We added the T about 5-6 years ago because we realised that T was quite important. We're British after all. But the DODAR model comes from NASA and the Apollo era. So this has been battle tested over many decades in the aviation and space industries. In NASA, they had a slightly different mnemonic, but it's exactly the same procedure. They just named things slightly different because, well, it's space, so it needs to be slightly different. But we use it day in, day out, and it's our bread and butter that we use for making big decisions. So if we go into it, T is for time, D is for diagnosis, O is for options, D is for decision, A is for assign, and R is for review. So that's TDODAR. A way of remembering it is T. We're British, we like our T. And if you like Homer Simpson's, it's do. It's all gone horribly wrong. That's the do part. And then, I've got an idea. So T, do. I've got an idea. That's the way I was initially taught to remember it years ago when I joined the airline, and it sticks with me. And when I give this training to for teams just like you guys and girls today, that's the way I put it across, and it seems to work. Most people seem to remember the Homer Simpson and how to remember this mnemonic of TDODAR. Let's break it down a little bit further. Let's go into the time. How much time do we have? Is it an emergency? Do we have to act quickly? In that case, is there a rule? Have we got a checklist that we can hang our hat on? If we haven't, then we need to kind of mentally put a tick to create a rule, create a checklist later. And I'll comment on that a little bit later about this. I've seen this work really well in software teams, and certainly IT teams that are managing big systems of coming up with checklists. Do we need to, and can we make more time? It's Black Friday, the server's just gone offline, and we're losing millions in sales every second. We really can't make more time. We need to deal with this really quickly. Let's get on with it. Or actually, it's not Black Friday. It's 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and we're just running a back-end process that does day-to-day, Monday to Friday stuff. Okay, we've got a bit of time. Let's just kind of go and grab a cup of tea and have a think about this. So you can see there's subtle differences about, can we make more time? For us, on the flight deck, if it's a major emergency and the aircraft is giving us all sorts of problems, we can't make more time. But if we have, like, say, a medical emergency down the back of the aircraft, while the cabin crew are gathering information about that medical emergency, we might sort of take a bit of time to, rather than jumping in and deciding, right, we're going to go and land there because they've got a great hospital near the airport, we're going to dive off the track system, we've got to speak to air traffic control, come up with all this massive plan, and then it turns out the person's just got indigestion. We've panicked and worried about this, so let's slow down. If we got time for a cup of tea, then we'll take that time. The important bit though is to start stopwatch. and time when something happens. So as soon as you have that input, that bang, that something's happened, start stopwatch. So then you know how long you've been dealing with this situation. And we'll talk about that again in a moment. But the other important thing is T stands for team. You're not alone. You may think you're alone. You may think you've got to deal with this all on your own, but you've not. You've got your colleagues, your friends. You've got Twitter if you really need to. It's a team exercise. So reach out and ask people for help. They may not even be someone who has the technical ability to help you. It could be your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend. It could be your kids. It could be the rubber duck that you've got stuck to the top of your monitor. We've all heard of rubber ducking a problem. That rubber duck is part of your team as well. Talk to them. Reach out and speak to people. So many times I've seen problems go wrong, and this model be used and abused, and it's because it didn't work as a team. The other thing as well about time, there's a fantastic book called Black Box Thinking by Matthew Said, and in this he talks about an incident happening in a hospital where a lady went in for a very minor operation, and to the point where she said to her husband, here's the shopping list, pop off to Tesco's and get the shopping while I'm just having this done. Kiss goodbye, see you in a few hours, honey, and off they go. And she goes into the operating theatre and shows an allergic reaction to the anaesthetic. So to the point where her throat constricts and they can't get an airway in. So the doctor who's carrying out the operation tries to get an airway in, an intubate where they put a tube down the throat, but can't get one down there. It's just not working. Gets barged out of the way by a senior doctor that's in there and says, I'll show you how to do it. And again, tries and fouls. And then the senior registrar that was on duty comes bursting into the operating theatre and tries as well and fouls. Eventually, they manage to get an airway, but 11 minutes have passed. Now, if they'd started a stopwatch, they would have seen the fact that the time is ticking on. And after a couple of minutes, right, this isn't working, we need to do something different. But they didn't. And because of that, 11 minutes elapsed before they realised they need to carry out an emergency procedure. The whole time, there was a junior nurse standing there with the emergency tracheotomy kit. And emergency tracheotomy is where they take a knife and they slice into the throat, and that soft kind of dent in your throat, and they put an airway in there. So it gets past the throat and they can go straight into the trachea. She tried to speak up, but because they weren't taking notice of the fact that T stands for team, they were I'm the doctor, I know what I'm doing, and the junior nurse, the authority gradient was so great that the junior nurse didn't know that she could just jump in and say, look, you're doing this wrong, look, it's been 8 minutes now, it's 11 minutes now, look, you need to do this. So if you're a team lead here, I can't emphasize this enough, make sure you let your team know that you're human, you're fallible. Yeah, we're all human, we're all fallible, can make mistakes. Let them know that it's okay to speak up. Let them know that you don't mind them, speaking up and telling you that you're wrong. Yeah, we do this on the flight deck all the time. The captain will say, or I'll say, look, I'm human. If you see me make a mistake, tell me that I'm making a mistake, and we'll talk about it later over a beer once we've got the problem sorted. So T stands for team, stands for time. So just think that, and it's an awesome book, Black Box Thinking. I highly recommend you go and read it, as well as Professor Steve Peters' book as well. Let's move on. Diagnosis. What do we think happens? We're not trying to fix the problem. We're not trying to work out how to fix the problem. All we're trying to do here is work out what the problem is, what has happened, what are the symptoms, what do we see in front of us that's going wrong. Ask open questions within the team. Open question is a question that cannot elicit a yes, no, maybe. It has to elicit a long form answer. So it's not something, do you think the engine has failed? Oh, yes, I think the engine has failed. It's like, what do you think the engine instruments are telling us? Oh, well, it's telling us actually that the EGT is really high, so it's really hot at the exit of the engine, and the M1, so the big blade at the front of the engine, isn't going round. So it looks to me like the engine's fouled because it's not going round. It's really hot at the back, so we must have fire back there. So you can see subtle difference in the way that the question is formed means it elicits a long answer, which means you're stopping the person from what they're doing, so they can stop, think, and give you a big, nice, long answer question, which means it breaks them from their train of thought of what's going on. Tell me where it's not, something different, and agree what you're diagnosing. Agree what you think needs to be tackled. Make it quick and concise because the clock is ticking, as it always is. Options. This here doesn't need much in the way of explanation. This is your brainstorming. This is your whiteboard session where you write up all the problems that you've got. Give you another option. Ask input from members of the team, either in the room or external. Go and ask someone else. We would typically ask air traffic control, another aircraft, the cabin crew, engineering teams, because they get the data linked down to the engineering teams. So ask all members. No such thing as a silly idea. Verbalize everything. Your silly idea may be the great oak of an idea for your colleagues. You may say something silly or think, oh, this is silly. They're gonna really laugh at me for this, but just say it anyway. And if you hear someone say something silly, don't take the mick out of them. Don't berate them. Just say, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, it's not a great idea, but actually, you know what? That we could do something. Again, don't drag it out. Often the first 2 or 3 ideas are the ones that are the best ideas anyway. The clock is ticking, so move on. So we move on to decide. And this is where we decide what to do. And as a team, and this is really, really, really important. If you're a team lead, please, if you take nothing else out of this, take this on board. If you're making a decision, make it as a team. Be a member of the team, not the team leader, not the manager. Be a member of the team and make the decision as a team. And the reason we say that is because if you, as a team lead, the manager say, right, we're doing this, and the rest of the team think actually we should do option B, you're not carrying the team with you, and you're not going to get the best work out of them. They're going to, traipse back to their desk. They're not going to be happy. It's like, we really shouldn't be doing this because this just isn't going to work, and I know it's not going to work, and you've not carried the team with you. If you're a team lead, team manager, highly emphasize, carry the team with you. Let the team decide what it is, even if you disagree and you think actually we should do option A and not option B. Tell them, look, I really think we should do option A, and this is why. If you can't convince the team, fine, go with option B. You may be the team leader, the team manager, but make it known that you're a member of the team and you're not leading the team. Again, don't spend too much time picking an option. Go with it and state the decision as a team. Write it on the whiteboard, put it on Slack, wherever you put your messages, put it somewhere so everyone knows what you're deciding to do and how you're going to fix this problem with the server going down on Black Friday and the sales have gone through the floor. State decision. And then also, this comes from Apollo 13 as well, is a failure decided to fail. Gene Kranz said that quite famously. So make sure you make a decision, even if it's a cognitive decision to do nothing. Make sure, right, okay, we're going to decide we're going to do nothing for 5 minutes and just see if the Kubernetes cluster and everything else stands back up and sorts itself out. If it doesn't, then we're going to pick this other decision over here and we'll just manually redo it all. But make a conscious decision, even if it's to do nothing. If you do decide to do nothing, put a time on it. Okay, we're going to give it 5 minutes of doing nothing, just see if we get any more inputs from team over there or what we see in the server logs, etc. But make it a cognitive decision to do nothing. But ideally, you're going to just pick one of the options and go with it. If you pick the wrong decision, don't worry. We'll review it later and we'll come back and we'll see the fact that that you get more input, which helps you make a better decision. And this is assigning the task, and the team leader does this, and this is the first time really the team leader stands up and says, right, I'm the team lead, I'm the boss, this is what we're going to this is who's going to do what and how we're going to carry out those tasks. And the reason they do it is hopefully if they're a good team lead, they should know the strengths and weaknesses of their team, know full well not to give someone a job which is to do with the database and they're not the DBA. They know full well that person is awesome at looking through server logs. Okay, we'll give them that task and we'll give someone else the DBA task because we need the skill set over there. So assign the task within the abilities of the team. And it's not a race, so make sure that you're not running back to your desk and try and get it done as quickly as possible. Be calm, methodical, go through and complete your task. Keep notes as you're doing your task as well. Don't just do it and think, right, I'm done, off I go. Keep notes. You'll notice if you had the ability to come and watch one of our sim checks where everything goes wrong, you'll notice that we're constantly writing things down on our notepads of what we've done and little timestamps next to it. We write the minute timestamps next to it and things like this. It's such that when we're doing the wash up at the end, we can talk about who did what, and we can review when it happens, what we see and when, etc. So again, you're kind of thinking about building that checklist, that mental checklist for later. Complete tasks as well as you can, but don't delay. If you can't complete it, put your hand up and say, I'm stuck, I don't know, I need help. There's no harm or foul in that. There's no shame. You may think there is, oh, they're all going to laugh at me because I can't do this simple task. And I can't, my Google foo is missing today, and I really can't find a blog post that tells me how to do it. Just put your hand up and ask. If you're a member of the team and someone puts a hand up and it's a really stupid thing that they should know, don't berate them. Don't oh look, you're stupid. Stressful situations, your brain sometimes gets up and leaves, and just take it on board. It's the fact that they just need a bit of help. They're asking for help. The worst thing you can do is hide behind the problem and just carry on googling, and hours later the clock runs out. The situation has now come to an end, and you've not solved the problem because you're too afraid or too ashamed to ask for help. Your team won't thank you. Your team won't probably won't say much to your face, but later when you're down the pub having a beer and drowning your sorrows, they're going to take the mick. They're going to, you'll probably get a name for yourself, etc., etc. But if you put your hand up and say, look, I just didn't know, help, your team will thank you later. They might not at the time, but they will thank you later. And when you're down the pub, it'll be something to giggle and laugh about. Oh yeah, do you remember you couldn't remember how to do that command line thing? But it's better to be laughing at it as a team than you being picked on because you messed up and it was you that brought the team down. So just put your hand up, ask for help. If your team leads, or even if you're a team member, consider overload. If you see the fact your colleagues are sending emails at 2 in the morning, or they're just you can see they're still online and they're struggling with something, go and ask me if they need help. Pop over and just say, you okay? Do you need help? Do you need a hand? Get them to get up from the keyboard and walk away if that's something you can do. Obviously we can't do it on the flight deck, but take them away from the situation. Take them a coffee or their favorite beverage, and just make sure that they're okay. It's good team leadership skills to make sure that you're checking in on your team as well. And this is a really, really important bit, and the bit that I see so many teams get wrong or just completely forget is reviewing it. Okay, the server's back up, brilliant, let's go and grab a coffee, all is well. But they have not reviewed it. They gave themselves 20 minutes to resolve the issue because they need to resolve it quickly. There's still 15 minutes on the clock, and let's review it. Okay, well, the server fell over, we've got it standing back up again, all is well. Let's go and have a coffee. No. Well, why did the server fall over? What caused the problem? Is there something bigger that caused this issue that we need to worry about? Now we've kind of got the aircraft safe again, and we're carrying on flying. Brilliant. Okay. Well, the engine's fouled, but we're okay at the moment. Well, why did the engine foul? Was it a bird strike, or was it the fact that there's something wrong with the fuel system and has caused the engine to foul, or something wrong with the electrical system that's caused it to foul? There could be a bigger problem that's hiding, and because you think, oh, brilliant, we're done, let's go. So review, go back around the TDODAR. We've still got 15 minutes left. Let's diagnose it again. Is there anything new that's come up? Well, we noticed in the server logs actually that there was this funny thing that happened 40 minutes ago. Oh, what was that? Okay, well, let's look at the options of what we could do to try and see if we can diagnose that a bit better. So you can see just repeating the TDODAR model. Have we still made the right decision, or have we gone down this path and now the sales marketing team are calling us and saying, what are you doing? It's all going horribly wrong. Whatever you're doing, stop it. That is feedback from an external team. The fact that maybe the decision that you made, the option that you picked is the wrong one. So then go back, review, go back. Okay, we've still got 20 minutes. Let's kind of look at the diagnosis again and see if we can diagnose the problem a bit better. So again, just going back around and review is what we're going to do. And then the bit that I've seen time and time again, I've got into many companies and helped with when they've got a change process going on and they're trying to work out the best way of doing this. I've gone in and given this talk and set up as a training exercise where we've faked something happening internally on their systems to train them to how to deal with this crisis management. I've done it with doctors and nurses in the NHS. I've done it with business leaders. And the bit that I always see is the fact they make a decision. So the team makes a decision, and it's a team decision, not the team lead. So the team makes a decision and they go on down the path. And then they realise, because they reviewed, that actually that decision probably wasn't the best idea. And then, you know what, option C was probably better than option A and B. But they're scared to change their mind. They're scared to go back and say, actually, yeah, we've kind of messed up here. Let's go back, review, look at the diagnosis. Actually, you know what, we've now got sales marketing shouting at us, or we've now got this new log that's come in that shows us actually that, you know, this is happening over there, and maybe Azure's down instead of, or AWS is down, and that's what's scaring us, or causing the problems. It's not internal, it's external, it's in the cloud. Whatever it is, you know, your course of action might need to change. So we're human, we're fallible, we make mistakes. Put your hand up. Yep, we've messed up here. Let's go back, start again. Okay, how long do we have left to fix it now? Let's restart the TDODAR model from the very beginning. But now with a bit of, you know, hindsight, it's 2020, as we all know. Let's go back and look at it again. And again, this comes back to being prepared to make a decision that will get you through the problem, but being prepared to make a change that decision. We messed up. Let's change it. You know, admit and repair those mistakes. Don't be a smoking hole in the ground because you was too proud to admit you've made a mistake. You know, it's good to change a decision. The business, your colleagues, your friends will thank you later that you've changed your decision. So that is the TDODAR model. So time, diagnosis, options, decision, assignment, review. Yeah. So T, because we're British, we like a cup of tea. Do, because we're Homer Simpson, and we're going to fix it. So that is the TDODAR model that we use in aviation. My flight across from Heathrow to Washington a couple of days ago, we used the TDODAR model just to leave Heathrow before we even pushed back because of a problem on the ground with baggage loading at Heathrow. That needs to be. It turned out it was just a bit of paperwork that had been waylaid and caused a bit of confusion. And you know, we use this TDODAR model to sort ourselves out and get going safely and securely onwards towards Washington. So you know, there's all sorts of little things that can be used for, and hopefully you will take this back to your team and on Monday morning and say, I've learned this model, and let's incorporate it into our daily decision making. And if I've not said it enough, I can't say it enough. Review. When you've finished, when the problem is resolved, when you've saved the day, review what you did. Don't just pop off to the pub or go grab a coffee. You know, look at your notes. You know, look at what you did, how you did it, who did what. Is that the best way of doing it? Could we have done something different? At the end of every single flight that we carry out, we have a post-flight review, and this is written down in our shutdown checks. So we shut down the engines, and the next checklist is a post-flight review. So before we secure the aircraft to leave for the engineers, before we leave, we even open the flight deck door, that bulletproof door between us and the passengers. We carry out a post-flight review. It's always done. We talk about what happened and why. You know, did air traffic control cut the arrival short? Did they change the runway on us late, which is what happened to us into Washington? So we had a few moments of having to switch runways and set everything back up in the box and rebrief quickly because we only had now 4 minutes to land in instead of the 15, 20 minutes we thought to landing because they changed runway ends on us. You know, who did what can we do to make it better next time? We can always learn, even if we think it's perfect. There's always something you can learn from it, and something you can learn to repeat next time. Or actually, you know what, it's something, you know, next time I'm not going to do that because that was pointless. Let's not do that. To have an impact on safety, for us, it's always about safety. It's safety, and then safety. And we do that as much as we review. We always think of safety because obviously we don't want to bend the aircraft or hurt the passengers. But for you, it could be: did we have an impact on the security of the operation? Do we have an impact on the output? You know, was the server up? Was it was the front-facing website working? You know, whatever it was in your industry. kind of area they work in code and software and IT, what is it that you had an impact on? What is the biggest part of your business model there? Do we have a commercial impact? Are we affected the fact that the server crashed and it's Black Friday and we've lost millions in sales? With standard operating procedures followed. If you don't have standard operating procedures, start making them. Use these reviews to start building your checklist. And what further action is required? Okay, we say today we've landed single engine into Keflavik and we should have been in Washington. And we've got a couple of people on board that now medical emergencies. What do we need now to do to carry on? It's all safe and we got it back okay again. But now there's is there paperwork to do? Do we need to carry out some more checks? And this will be where you then carry out and you write a checklist. So if there's something you did that worked really, really well, write a checklist, note it down, share that checklist with your colleagues, put it somewhere. You could be in the business, you could be the person that everyone goes to when there's a problem with Kubernetes, there's a problem with the front end, there's a problem with the back end, there's a problem with you're the DBA, whatever it is. But you're not going to work for this company forever. We all know that in the software world, we all move around between companies. We might be there for 6 months, 6 years, then we move on. Make a checklist that you hand to your colleagues so that when you leave, you're leaving behind your experience, your expertise in how to fix that system. And then you review those checklists so that when something happens, they can go to the checklist and bring it out. The best way I've seen this implemented was with a company I worked for. They started building these checklists and they keep it in a book, and it's a book that's on the top of the filing cabinet, and that is the book where they go to when they have something go wrong, and they look through the book, and in there is their checklist, and they can bring out the checklist which is pertinent to the situation they're facing and go through it nice. And so even they use it for just doing things like, okay, we're going to roll out a new version of production. They go and check the checklist to make sure that all the checks are done before they click that button to push that final pipeline to push new updates to production, to make sure that you've not missed something and you're not going to cause a problem. Have we checked this? Have we tested that? All the ticks green on the test suite. Is the DevOps process passed with flying colors and there's no issues, there's nothing in the logs to say there's something wrong? Okay, right, brilliant, now we can push to production. So just even that, just simple little checklist could be something you use day to day, which means you don't make a mistake, which means you don't bring down the operation and cause an issue. So this is my office. This is where I'll be later on this evening, flying back to London Heathrow, and landing at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning into London. Hopefully the storms are gone. This is where I spend my days flying around in jet aircraft. Otherwise, you'll find me, huddled over a laptop, either teaching people like I am now, or working on a project. But on Monday morning, you're going to go into the office, and there's going to be decisions to be made. You're going to have that stand up, your team stand up probably on a Monday morning over a coffee and talk about what's going on, who's doing what this week, and what decisions need to be made. Hopefully you've learned something from this TDODAR model, and if you have any questions, you can put them in the Slack chat, in the Discord chat now, or reach out to me on Twitter. My handle's on the side there. And yeah, that's enough. And just a few final notes just to bring it a little bit closer to home. I always like to do this at the end for the teams. Don't forget to state the time, how long is left in a meeting. We all go into these Teams and Zoom meetings now, and we talk about how long we've got. It's an hour-long meeting, and we end up spending 15 minutes chit-chatting over something that happened yesterday. I dare say, on Monday, it's all going to be talking about the new COVID variant and how that's going to affect business, etc., etc. And then you start the meeting, and what you should then state is like, we've got 40 minutes this meeting left that was booked for an hour, of what we're going to do. This TDODAR model works as well in positioning the meeting such that, okay, what are we trying to do today in this meeting? That's the diagnosis bit. Options, well, who's going to do what and how we're going to do it? That's the O bit. So, and again, you can see how it can be built into a meeting as well. When you're done with a piece of work, carry out a review, and this isn't just your PR. This isn't just the fact that you've got it all working and it's in production. Review how you got it there, and can we make a checklist from it? Not shall we, but can we? And then make a checklist. Write it down somewhere such that it can be shared later. And then if your team leads, just mention it again, because I've seen so many teams fall apart, and the team lead is hated by the whole team because they made a decision a year ago. And everyone hates you now because that decision you made a year ago was you dragging the team with you, kicking and screaming. think of the authority gradient and let them know that they can speak up and tell you, make it aware when you stand up on Monday morning leading the team. Look, I'm human, I'm fallible, I can make mistakes. If you think I'm doing it wrong, tell me. No harm, no foul. I'm not ashamed. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong, and let's get this right. Let's work as a team and get this out the door better. And you look better as a team then. That's enough for me. I'm out of time. So if you have any questions, then ask them now. I'm not sure if there's any in the chat there, Lee. If not, then I'll let you go grab a coffee before the next session.
No, we've not had any questions come through on the Discord, but a lot of people liking the talk.
Thank you.
So a lot of feedback for that, and a couple of links from some other things, a bit like the Lithium Paradox book you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
So we've linked that for people to find if they want to have a go, have a bit of a read.
Yeah, and Black Box Thinking by Matthew Said is also a fantastic book.
Yes. So yes, one thing for anyone who's watching, we do have a feedback form in Discord in the announcements channel. So if you can click that and leave any feedback, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, I've been using this this thing of PowerPoint where it puts this the text that I'm meant to be sort of saying at the bottom. But I've noticed that it's, as it's got on screen there, it's not very good. I'm not sure. Rickets and textile and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to be brilliant, but yeah, I might not turn it on next time. But I thought it'd help with those that sometimes are hard of hearing. And yeah, it was recommended to me, but it doesn't seem to be working very well. So I think that's it, Lee. I think we can let everyone go grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, refresh themselves, or buy a break for the next awesome talks. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming along, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the day. And thanks to the DDD team and all the sponsors.